Zylx nervously fidgeted with her antennae as she surveyed the diverse crowd in the bustling food court of Arcturion Station. As a culinary anthropologist tasked with studying the dining habits of newly discovered civilizations, she had witnessed many bizarre gastronomic rituals. But nothing could have prepared her for the human delegation that had just arrived. "I don't understand how they can consume such vile substances," Zylx muttered to her assistant Clart, a bulbous Arcadian. "Have you analyzed the components of that pizza they're devouring?" Clart's eye stalks swiveled towards the human table, where the delegates were enthusiastically biting into triangular slabs covered in molten dairy and the shredded remains of some unknown beast. The base appears to be a baked slurry of grain and leavening agents, topped with the coagulated secretions of a mammal and the pulverized flesh of a chlorophyll-based life form. Highly unsanitary by any civilized standard. "Indeed," Zylx said, suppressing a retch. "We must investigate further. This human cuisine could unlock secrets about their primitive culture that—" She was interrupted by a loud belch that made both their antennae twitch. One of the humans, a beefy specimen with rugged features named Brock, had unleashed an impressive display of postprandial rudeness. Excuse me," Brock said with a lopsided grin, patting his ample belly. That Quarian deep dish really hit the spot. The other humans laughed heartily while the surrounding alien patrons shot them disgusted looks. Zylx seized the opportunity to approach. "Greetings, humans. I am Zylx of the Culinary Institute. Might I ask about the nature of the meal you just consumed?" The human called Brock glanced at his companions before replying. "You mean the pizza? It's just some dough, sauce, cheese, and toppings like pepperoni and mushrooms? No big deal. I was referring more to the substances of which it was comprised," Zylx said carefully. "The coagulated dairy, the flesh of another species. Do you not find this disturbing?" The humans exchanged confused looks. Finally, a female with frizzy red hair named Dana spoke up. "You mean like eating meat and cheese? That's just normal food for us. We're omnivores. We need nutrients from both plant and animal sources to survive." "You consume the bodies of your fellow beings?" Clart blurted, aghast. On his world of Arcadia, such an act would be tantamount to cannibalism. Dana frowned. "Well, when you put it like that, it sounds messed up. But animals aren't like sentient beings. We've just always eaten them as part of our diet, same as most other species on our planet." "Precisely," Zylx exclaimed, antennae aquiver with a burst of insight. "The humans originate from a death world, a hyper-hostile environment where the very act of sustaining oneself requires the conquest of other life forms. No wonder their culinary practices seem so savage." The humans looked at each other, baffled. A lanky one named Tanner raised his hand. Earth really isn't that crazy of a place. Yeah, we eat meat and stuff, but it's not like we're murderous brutes or anything." "Oh, but you are," Zylx said excitedly, practically vibrating with anthropological fervor. "This pizza is the embodiment of your species' primal, brutish nature. The baked slurry base represents the rudimentary agriculture that allowed your ancestors to move beyond pure hunter-gatherer subsistence. The dairy, a potent symbol of your domination over the mammalia of your homeworld. And the pepperoni, the ultimate manifestation of your carnal, predatory essence." The humans stared at her in stunned silence. Brock was the first to react, letting out a booming guffaw that sprayed bits of half-chewed pizza from his mouth. "Lady, you're reading way too much into this," he said between guffaws. "It's just a freaking pizza." The rest of the humans joined in the laughter, leaving Zylx flustered and confused. Had she misread the situation? Determined to uncover the truth, she decided to probe deeper into human food culture. Over the next few days, Zylx trailed the delegation everywhere, documenting their dining habits with obsessive detail. She watched in morbid fascination as they consumed giant racks of sopping meat covered in crackling burnt fur, steaming pots of crushed crustaceans, and oozing desserts made from the concentrated sugars of exotic alien flora. Each new culinary obscenity seemed to unlock further insights into the human's savage psyche. The way they tore into those ribs, the primal grunts of carnal satisfaction, the utter lack of empathy for their victims, it all reinforced her theory that these humans were the undisputed deathworlders of the galaxy. Finally, after observing them ingest a grotesque tower of fried dough and sugar-laced grease, Zylx could remain silent no longer. She burst into the human embassy's dining hall, antennae whirling with righteous indignation. "Enough of this savagery," she cried, causing the humans to gape at her with frosted mouths. "For days now, I have borne witness to the most horrific acts of culinary depravity. The wanton slaughter of innocent life forms, the overconsumption of flesh and viscera, the utter disregard for the sanctity of nature's bounty. You humans are. She trailed off as she noticed the humans were no longer gaping, but smirking at her. Dana, in particular, had an insufferably smug look. "Let me guess," the red-haired human said. "You think we're some kind of depraved, bloodthirsty monsters because we eat things like burgers, lobster, and funnel cake?" Zylx's antenna drooped. "Well, yes. Do you not see how perverse your eating habits are?" The humans burst into another round of laughter, much to Zylx's consternation. When they finally calmed down, Tanner gave her a pitying look. "Zylx, I think you've got the wrong idea about us. Sure, we eat meat and other animal products, but so do tons of species across the galaxy. It's just part of having an omnivorous diet. We're not murderous brutes, we're just hungry people who like tasty food." But the pepperoni," Zylx sputtered. "The ribs, the lobster, the complete disrespect for other forms of life?" "Oh, give it a rest," Brock chuckled. "You're just looking at it from the perspective of your own culinary traditions. On our world, raising livestock and harvesting crops is just part of putting food on the table. We're not barbarians. We've got plenty of ethical standards and farming regulations to make sure nothing's unnecessarily cruel." Zylx opened and closed her mouth, utterly flummoxed. All her anthropological theories, her carefully constructed cultural analyses, rendered moot by the humans' bafflingly casual attitude towards their own culinary monstrosities. I don't understand," she finally said, antennae drooping in defeat. "How can you be so cavalier about consuming the bodies of your planetary kin?" Dana shrugged, taking another bite of the fried dough monstrosity. "I don't know. It's just food to us. We've been eating this way for thousands of years. It's just part of our culture at this point. No deeper meaning or savagery. We just think it tastes good." As the humans continued eating with gusto, Zylx could only shake her head in bewildered acceptance. For an anthropologist who had dedicated her life to unraveling the mysteries of alien cuisines, she had finally encountered a culture whose eating habits defied all logic and analysis. The humans, it seemed, were not deathworlders constantly fighting for survival through feats of culinary savagery. They were just really, really enthusiastic eaters. And perhaps, Zylx realized as she eyed the glistening sugary tower with reluctant curiosity, their unique and unabashed approach to gastronomy was something to be celebrated across the galaxy. After all, she mused to herself as she carefully sampled the fried dough, studying the humans had certainly opened her appetite to new possibilities.